listeners, I'm Jess Korzeniowska. I'm joined by Jon Holt, and welcome to the first ever episode of Shooting Rabbits in a Barrel, a podcast brought to you by Scarecrow Consultants. Thank you for joining us, as each session we look at lessons learned from careers in systems engineering. Now, in this podcast, there are going to be two questions that we ask every guest we have. And the first one of those is, what story would you like to share with us today? And the second is, what valuable lesson did you learn? So Jon, welcome to the first episode.
Thanks, Jess.
What story would you like to share with us today?
Well, first of all, it's a great honour to be invited along to the first episode. So today I'm going to share a story that happened in round about 2009, 2010, and it's called The Common Language Part 1, focusing on the spoken language. So.
Interesting. I'm excited to hear more. Off you go, Jon.
So, as I said, it was round about it must have been sort of the summer of, I think, 2009, 2010. And I just started working for a new company, basically. And there was quite a lot of pressure on me to sort of perform and do well, as it were, because we'd just been bought by this other company. So anyway, I was invited to speak to NATO in Brussels, in Belgium, as the UK representative on architecture. So, and it's one of those moments where I really thought I'd made it, and I thought, well, this is one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me in my career. I've been invited along to represent the country, the United Kingdom, to talk in one of my areas of expertise about architecture. I thought life doesn't get any better than this. This is one of the greatest moments. I'll look back on this in the future, and I'll tell my children and my grandchildren about the time I represented the United Kingdom at NATO in Brussels. So I made my way to Brussels, and it was in the NATO headquarters, which was a big, kind of beautiful building. And on the inside, the room it was in was vast. So the ceilings must have been sort of 20 or 30 metres high. They're all oak panelled, and there are all these massive, great wooden desks with names in front. And the name tags didn't even have your name on them, it had the country. So instead of my name, it said United Kingdom in front of me, and it was like something out of a Bond film. It was just
Very
people
fancy.
from all the different countries, all the different NATO countries, people with headsets, people in different outfits and so on. And it was really, really quite something. As I said, this massive, great room, and looking up to these great oak panels and these windows at the top. And so I was sat at the table waiting for my turn with the microphone in front of me, with United Kingdom proclaiming my area of expertise and my providence, essentially. And so anyway, went around the room, and various people gave their opinions and about what the way that things should be done. And then it came to my turn, and I was slightly nervous about this, and so I started speaking into the microphone, and I introduced myself. And there was a problem with the microphone. The microphone wasn't working, it wasn't coming out the speakers. I thought nobody could hear me, and I thought, oh, typical, this is the moment I've been waiting for, and the microphone doesn't work. We've got this technical issue. So anyway, so I started hitting the microphone, as one does, and then I started swearing quite profusely, as one does when things go wrong with technology. So I was going, oh, this effing microphone, what a bunch of C's, trust NATO to F everything up, and really not particularly loudly, but just swearing really, even for me, really quite badly into this microphone. And it was so anyway, this guy saw me, and he came running across the room and said, stop. He said, what do you think you're doing? I said, look, the effing microphone doesn't effing work. What an F up, basically, or words to that effect. And he said, no, he said, stop. He says, that microphone, he says, it's not for the speakers. He says, that's for the translators. And at that moment, he pointed, and I looked up to these massive, great oak panelled walls, and what I thought were windows at the top were windows into booths, and inside each one of these booths was a translator, a crying translator at this point. And I looked around the room, and there was all people in different headsets with their mouths open, looking absolutely horrified, all staring at me and kind of gaping at me. And he said, no, he said, that's for the translators. And it turns out that when you're a translator, you have to translate exactly what somebody says. You can't paraphrase, you can't miss anything out. You have to literally translate word for word every single thing that they say in the interests of fairness and sort of partiality. And so It turned out I simultaneously swore in 28 different languages at the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Needless to say, I haven't been invited back in the intervening 15 years since that happened. But it was one of those very, very special occasions, and I will look back in the future, back to this occasion, with not quite the pride that I thought I would be looking back on. But yes, so 28 different languages in one go, essentially banned from NATO for the rest of my natural life. No.
Absolutely iconic. Well, okay, what valuable lesson did you learn that day, other than how not to cause an international incident?
Well, I did learn a very valuable lesson that day, and it comes back to modelling. So if people aren't aware, my particular area of expertise in systems engineering is model-based systems engineering. One of the things that we do when we do model is, just like the translators did to me, you must model exactly what is there in the first instance. Even if you know it's wrong, even if you know it's terrible, you must model exactly what's there, and then you can pause it, you can baseline it, and you can take a step back and look at it and start to correct it. But in the first instance, whenever we have any source information, whether it's written down, spoken in my case, or whatever it's going to be, it's very important that we capture exactly what is there, so that we got a true and accurate record of the information. So the only good thing to come out of that was me learning that particular valuable lesson, which is all about obviously a common language, in this case the spoken language.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thank you very much, John. Well, I foresee that later I'm going to have nightmares about being on It's a Small World ride with all the countries of the world represented, and at the end, Jon Holt swearing into a microphone as an animatronic. Thanks so much, John. Thank you, listeners. Join us next time for more lessons learned from careers in systems engineering, and we'll see what mischief we get up to then. Bye.